Hi again, I'm glad to be back and I'm glad that you're with me. Today we're going to be talking about truth and relationships. You know, this is one of the toughest presentations in this series. First, because it's so incredibly important, and also because, believe it or not, there are several different kinds of truth. For instance, there's a universal truth we can all agree on, that we live on this amazing planet and we live and we die. Albeit for some, the body may die, but the soul does not. So we, or all of our parts, die in some form. I know which one I believe, and to prove it, I'll probably see you after I'm gone and whisper things in your ear. So you didn't know you were going to have a grandma angel, did you? Well, wait and see. Another type of truth is my truth and your truth. Those truths come from our little red wagon of life experience, some of which are even unconscious. When each of us is sincere in what we believe our truth to be, we can say our truth is true for us. There is also a truth that is true for the other person. Well, those truths can collide, and you both have to use your communication skills and be willing to give up your need to be right and listen to see how the other person's truth is true for him or her. And that's when the holy moment of healing occurs. Once I understand how your truth is true for you, and you understand how my truth is true for me, then we can negotiate a compromise that works for both of us. Now, here's the headline. If we just argue about who's right or wrong and insist on proving that we are right, we never get to the holy moment or the healing. Unfortunately, today, what we're seeing is people who think being right is much more important than being truthful or ethical and principled. I don't need to tell you how important truth is in general. Einstein said, "Whoever is careless with the truth in small matters cannot be trusted with important matters." We are all feeling incredibly unsafe today because there are so many untruths, half-truths, deliberate and outright lies coming from people we should be able to trust. I think in the White House, in both parties, in major corporations, in drug companies, and literally everywhere. We feel like we're walking on shaky ground, and we are. And therein lies the reason why I have to be willing to be honest in all things. Truth happens in us first, and then it happens in the rest of the world. It's just like all the rest of the healing we've been talking about. Truth is incredibly important to individuals and to society as a whole. Truth matters to us as individuals because it's an integral part of our character and values. There's no one watching today who has not sat with someone you know who was lying to you with every fiber of your being. You knew it. And the end result was you probably never trusted that individual again. Frankly, that's a good boundary. If you see trouble coming through the door and you don't want trouble in your life, it's your job to kindly shut the door. Dancing in the truth makes us courageous. It tells how much we believe, we say we believe. It shows us our own strengths and weaknesses. It demonstrates our willingness or unwillingness to put fear or the acceptance of others over our own integrity. If we're committed to the truth, we don't kid ourselves, so therefore we have fewer surprises and fewer failures, which add to our self-esteem and self-respect. We can create a powerful circle of friends and associates who share mutual trust. Like energy draws like energy. Our commitment to the truth is the fire in our growth spiritually, because we see things clearly and we respond more quickly. Therefore, we have far fewer messes to clean up. Another important thing about the truth is that you don't have to tell everyone about everything in your life, as we said in the communication module. The ethical boundary is this: if you withhold a truth that affects the other person, that is dishonest. However, if 10 years ago you got fired for being a slouch at your job and you learned your lesson and you now have great work ethics, that's not something you're obligated to tell anybody. On the other hand, if you're in a relationship in which you agreed to be monogamous and you are not upholding that agreement, you absolutely need to tell your partner, because now you're risking his or her health and your marriage, and your partner has a right to make a decision about that for him or herself. And by the way, please have the integrity to tell your partner before you cheat, because betrayal is the killer for both of you. It's total rejection that the betrayed partner feels, and it's a horrific betrayal of your own soul's values. Another piece of advice about truth-telling is don't deliver it with a sledgehammer. If your friend or partner asks you if her dress makes her butt look bigger, and the most truthful answer is yes, you can reply with, I like the green one you wore the other night better. And if your partner insists on an answer, you can truthfully tell her it's not as attractive on you as the other skirts you wear. In other words, make it about the skirt, not the butt. If he or she is really asking about the butt, you can still respond with kindness by saying something like, well, I think you're beautiful, but if you're really worried about that, let's do some jogging together. Truth and tact are partners if you really want to be trusted. Some people tell the truth without tact, and that's just injurious. There are also times when you simply cannot tell your truth. For instance, if you know your friend Alan is stealing from work because he came to you for advice and your other friend asks you to talk about it, you can simply set a boundary and say, any information about Alan is information that's not mine to share. If you have questions, go talk to Alan about that directly. You get to set boundaries about your truth-telling. Never lie to make yourself look better or cover up what you think is a fault of yours. We're all broken, guys. We're all still works in progress. It's so refreshing to hear somebody say, yep, that's something I'm still working on. Why? Because we're all still working on something. And telling the truth about it makes you more trustworthy and relatable. It makes you human. Let's also talk about, after you have told the truth, don't whittle it away with fear and self-doubt. That's actually like blowing up a balloon and then holding on to it and never letting it go so it can't fly. Unless it's an authentic concern, when you question yourself, you diminish your courage and lessen your power. Stand in your truth with pride, with firmness, with strength. If you do, you're going to soon see how doing so benefits you and everybody around you. It takes self-discipline, but the more you train yourself to stand firm in your truth, the easier it becomes. So finally, let's get to the real reason we need to be talking about truth-telling. It's because we're here to change the world, and we can only do that from the inside out. Truth-telling is about ethical intelligence and honor. It's at the core of your values and your character. Your character defines you as a person and the kind of human being you want to be. By identifying your values and knowing which ones are the most important, you create a guide for your life, yourself, and your loved ones. It makes you safer and more able to make conscious, intelligent decisions. By identifying the values you do not want to incorporate into your character, you're also safer and you make more integrous, intelligent decisions. Life gets easier because you're not constantly cleaning up the mess, chaos, and drama. And when you're about to make an important decision, you're going to be able to quickly assess whether it's in alignment with your character and core values. In those moments when you stop and decide what you're about to say or do, and you determine whether it's aligned with your spirit, in that moment, in that holy moment, you're creating your destiny. You are doing what you came here to do, and you are being who you came here to be. On the other hand, when you lie, it's an act of disrespect for you and the other person. You're saying to yourself, my truth is not worthy of being told. And you're saying to the other person, you are not worthy of my respect. Nobody wins. Being truthful with yourself is an act of courage for what you believe and who you are, and an act of respect for yourself and the other person. You may occasionally ruffle some feathers, but 90% of that time, the person will come around and express gratitude for your honesty. One of the most effective tools in learning to tell the truth all the time is listening to your heart instead of your head. Most people think ego is just this bad thing that makes people arrogant. You know, that's actually not true. Ego serves you in a couple of very important ways. It not only serves you to push forward to accomplish great things, it tries to protect you from embarrassment or humiliation as well. It may also try to get your attention and love inappropriately. And it will often try to do that by tempting you to lie. But if you take a moment to just check in with a question like, is this in alignment with my character? Chances are you're going to get the right answer. Decide on a simple matrix for yourself when making decisions to tell the truth. For instance, you could ask yourself, is what I'm about to say in alignment with my values? Or is someone else's voice louder than my own in this decision? Or have I asked myself, what don't I know, in order to gather all the information I need to make the best decision? How much of what I'm about to say is coming from fear or a need for attention? Am I rushing? Rushing is a sign that this may not be in the universe's right sense of timing, so you may not have all the information you need. Wait. No matter how important it may seem to hurry, wait. I'm feeling pressured to do. I need time to get clear about my truth. My truth is all you have to say. If there's any hesitation whatsoever, stop. That is your spirit speaking. It may not mean don't go forward or don't do it at all. It probably means wait. There's something else you need to know that you don't have the information on yet. Just take a breath, hang out for a bit or a day or two, and see what comes. Sign that contract after you feel absolutely clear that the agreement is right. Because whatever is missing will arrive and you'll know when it is right. Giving yourself the time you need to make sure your truth is in alignment with who you are is a great gift. So don't be shy about taking the time you need to get into that alignment. If you are not true and truthful with yourself, you can't be that with anybody else either. Being honest is not just a behavior, it's a way of life. It's an incredibly important part of your character. Some people will say telling white lies is fine. That doesn't hurt anybody. But trust me, if you're in the habit of telling the truth only some of the time, then you don't have honesty in your relationships. Not only is it disrespectful to your partner, but it is also disempowering you because you are saying your partner is not capable of dealing with the truth and you are simply not capable of telling the truth. It's like being pregnant. You can't be partially pregnant, you can't be partially spiritual, and you can't be partially truthful. You either are or you are not. Also, being brutally honest is brutal. So deliver your truth with love, remembering it's your truth. Let's say sex isn't going quite well as you'd like it to be. You'd be better to deliver that truth from an I space. For instance, I've been thinking about some new things in bed. Are you game? You know all the values we've been talking about are the things that can't be seen. We can see the results of these values, but not the values themselves. They cannot be put in a book or wrapped in a gift box. So, as Nietzsche might have asked, what is the value or non-value of all of these values we have and all we've talked about in this series? And that answer is in this question, is in the core of what we've been asking you all along. Who are you? And are you doing what you came here to do? I want you to know that I have no judgment on any decision you make about that. Because as we said in the beginning of this series, you are all master teachers, teaching us something about who we want to be or don't want to be, and what we want to do or don't want to do. To be excruciatingly honest, I have a hope that enough of us will choose to live these values that we can create a safe and compassionate planet, which I personally believe is the experiment in the first place. But free will is inviolate spiritually, meaning we each must or get to make our own decisions about when and how we're going to get conscious and bump up. Those of us who believe this truth believe that this will call to your spirits, and we hope you will hear us. And fortunately now, because things have gotten so bad, more than ever, people are hearing these ideas and finding they resonate with their own values and character. Now my heart goes yippee-skippy about that, because that means you will carry on this teaching for me and all the others over the planet who know that now this is the time if we're ever going to turn things around. This is the moment when we must decide, because the energy in the earth is becoming lower and lower in vibration, and we will do ourselves in if we don't change this vibration of destruction. Those of us like me who are leaving the planet are handing the baton off to you. That's what all these sessions are about. We're saying, you take it from here. We trust you. You know if your heart has chosen to carry on and evolve in your life and the planet. You know, and you have stayed with me through every session. And if you have, you are one who knows. So here's what I want to tell you. Don't be afraid. As odd as it may sound, this process of changing the energy in the planet is so simple and easy. It's just about making every decision a conscious one and refusing to listen to the chaos and the drama and the lies that are perpetuated to keep us controlled in fear. Just tune them out. Take the quiet time you need to make conscious decisions and changes that will immediately change the energy in the universe. Every choice and decision you make is a world event within. I'm going to say that again. Every single choice and decision you make is a world event within. Why? Because in that moment you are changing the frequency on the planet. You think that's silly? Imagine for a minute if the majority of the people on this planet were making truthful, compassionate, conscious decisions. How powerful would that be? Each of us in our own little corner of the world making conscious decisions about the smallest and the largest of things, and each decision is literally changing the energy in the universe. Like energy draws like energy. It sounds so simple. Remember the first time you saw that first Nike symbol or that first silly white apple? Now you can't go anywhere without seeing those. And it wasn't just good marketing. It was the excitement, the people who said, let's do it. Like energy draws like energy, whether negative or positive. One little tiny man named Gandhi freed a nation of 800 million people. How did he do it? In exactly the same way I'm asking you to do it. One choice and one decision at a time. Let me tell you my favorite story about Gandhi. Gandhi was a well-known spiritual leader, and one afternoon, one of his followers brought her daughter to him, having walked so far from a city that was very far away, and she humbly and politely asked Gandhi, "Gangaji, please tell my daughter to stop eating candy because it's not good for her." Gandhi looked and nodded and told her to come back in a week. Well, she was exhausted and confused, but she agreed to come back. The next week, she returned with exactly the same request. "Papaji, please tell my daughter to stop eating candy. It's not good for her." Once again, Gandhi looked at her and nodded and told her to come back in a week. And now she was really feeling confused and exhausted and a little angry, given it how difficult the road back and forth was. But she finally agreed. A week later, she returned with the same request. And Gandhi called the little girl over to him and said, "Daughter, stop eating candy, it's not good for you." Well, the mother was totally frustrated and demanded to know, "Why did you make me come back 3 times before you would tell her that?" And Gandhi took a breath and responded, "I had not yet stopped eating candy myself." Think about the impeccable integrity in that. Let's have that same impeccable integrity to make the changes we need on the inside so that we can change the direction in which the world is going. I believe in us. I believe in you. Change is not out there, it's in here. And if that little man had the power to change an entire country of 8 million people, what are we waiting for? Each of you has a bit of Gandhi in you. The minute you stop eating candy, the candy that lacks integrity, spirituality, trust, and compassion, it is making all of us sick. That's the moment that you do that. You have the power to change the world. Gandhi knew that, and now so do you. There's no exercise for this week because I want you to get into your discussion groups and get with your consciousness partners and talk about all you've learned over the past weeks individually and make a plan to remember and act on what you've learned with each session. Talk about how you can and will support each other. And if you don't have a discussion group, take a minute to write a commitment to yourself or start your own Awakening Meetup group. Start them everywhere, in every state, in every country, and let's wake up together. Thank you for being with me through this series. I love you all. Let's do it.